Awesome. All right. So my name is Raven Crisp. I'm the founder and CEO of Selfless Hands Foundation. We are back with another episode of Coping with COVID, and we have Courtney here.
Hello, everyone. I'm the vice president of Selfless Hands, and we have Katrina Leggins of Nicole Writing, Nicole Collection, self-care guru, mental health therapist. Oh my God. Yes, she's been the person I've been trying to talk to this entire time because she's going to teach me how to do real self-care because apparently I might not know. So excited to have her on. Woo!
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Talk to us. Tell us about you, girl.
Okay, so for one, thank you for the introduction. You really hyped me up. So I'm very humble. I actually can be very shy sometimes as well. But thank you for that introduction. But my name is Katrina Leggins. I am the owner and CEO of Nicole Writing. It is a informational and inspirational platform that is geared towards helping people find ways to really increase their self-care and mental health and find necessary tools to help them be more productive. I'm also a mental health therapist. I work actually here in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where I reside. And I provide therapy for teens and young adults, primarily females. Been in the field for about 6-7 years now. So mental health and therapy is my passion. And so with Nicole Writing, it gave me another way to help people on a bigger platform versus just helping my clients that I see on a day-to-day basis in an office setting. And so it's taken off the last 3 years. It's almost been 3 years since Nicole Writing launched in the summer of 2017. And so I'm just grateful that I've been able to help a lot of people through my platform, because all it is honestly is about bringing awareness to mental health because it's such an important topic, and self-care as well.
That is so powerful. That is so bomb. Something that I love to, start off the conversation by asking what triggered this purpose within you. What was that moment that you was like, this is it, I got to do this?
Ooh, so I would say as a teenager, I struggled a lot emotionally. I had a I came from a one-parent household, and my mom's my mom had me as a teenager, and I always share that story because being a product of a teen parent it had its challenges, but it also had its pros. I struggled a lot with self-identity. I struggled a lot with depression. I struggled a lot with anxiety. And I always wanted to figure out a way to help myself, but also a lot of things going on in my household. Nobody's family is perfect. And I wanted to figure out a way to help my family. I always had like this niche to help people. Believe it or not, I thought I was going to be a doctor, but God had other plans. And so once I realized that social work, which is what my background is in, I could help people, I decided to go to college and go to school for social work and take the clinical route. So my upbringing, my personal challenges, my challenges with my family was the biggest reasons behind going into the field of therapy. And then being African American, I never seen a lot of people that looked like me in that field when I was younger, because I should have been in therapy then, but didn't because of the stigma and just families not, or my family not understanding the importance of it. So I said, you know what? I want to help people the best way that I can. And God just gave me that purpose to be able to go into the field of therapy and mental health. And so now I can use my personal pain, my personal struggles, my story to help other people.
Right. Oh, that is beautiful. That is so selfless of you. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Good. So we do have some awesome questions that me and Courtney came up with, and I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. So question number 1, In a fantasy society, what would our world of self-care look like for the Black community?
So when I seen that question, I had to really think about it because when I talk about self-care, typically I talk about it on a broad spectrum for everybody. But when you guys asked specifically for African Americans, I thought of the things that we struggle with the most, that we typically ignore or typically haven't learned. And so I came up with about, I think, 6 or 7 ways that I think would be more of a fantasy. The first thing I came up with is listening and taking responsibility for what your mind and your body needs. So if you're ignoring, if you're sick physically, and not taking yourself to the doctor, not taking your supplements, you're doing a disservice to your body. So you need to listen and respond to what your body and your mind needs. Ignoring that definitely does more harm than good later on. So that's number one. Number two, speak positivity to yourself. So I know for me, when I am having a hard time, what I tell myself, the thoughts that I think can carry on until the rest of the day, to the next day. So let's start affirming how we want our day to be, what we want in the future, what we want for ourselves. So take away the negativity that you speak about yourself and start speaking more positivity about yourself, about your future self. So that's another way. Disconnecting from the social media world. So it's 2020. A lot of us are, think about the pandemic. We have no choice but to use social media to navigate and get to talk to people. If it's about our jobs, like, we have no choice but to use it. But sometimes I think we can consume so much social media time that it starts to affect how we feel about ourselves, what we want out of life. We start comparing ourselves, sometimes unintentionally, but taking a break from social media, I usually recommend doing quite often throughout the year. So that would be another thing. Setting healthy boundaries with yourself and with other people. I think that's another big one that, a lot of us may not have learned early on, and it's a struggle for ourselves to say no to things that we need to say no to, or even saying yes to opportunities that we may not feel is meant for us because of our own fears and insecurities. So set healthy boundaries with yourself. I would also say be more in tune with your spiritual or religious practices. We all come from different backgrounds. We have all different outlets that we tend to help with our spiritual being. And so whatever that may look like for you, use that to help you become more present and more grounded. And especially with what we're going through right now, I think that's definitely important as we're navigating through the pandemic. And then most importantly, the last thing, embrace your most authentic self. We all have different gifts and talents that God has given us, and we need to be okay with where we are, who we are, even if we have all of these flaws. We all have flaws. Embrace yourself. I think as African Americans, we're always seem like we're in this constant race to be the best, or sometimes unintentionally or intentionally try to compete with one another. But embrace who you are, regardless of where you are currently in your season, because there's something that is specifically designed in you to help people. So whatever your purpose may be, you need to make sure that you love that and you take that into consideration. So I think that was like 4 or 5 things, but I felt like those really related to us as Black people, as African Americans. And I really love that question because I've never had that question asked before for African Americans in our community.
Right. Yeah, it's conversations that we don't have too often, that's really, not necessarily saying that, these questions are going to come with solutions that are, realistic to just tackle today, but it's to get our mind going, ideally, they ask that question, in the interview, what is your ideal work environment? And stuff like that. Sometimes I wonder, in an ideal society, what would you like to see? maybe self-care doesn't require being alone. Maybe self-care is, going through your Twitter and deleting all your tweets.
Yeah.
Just doing away with it. So I love to, yes, doing a cleanup.
And with you saying that, with self-care, that may work for you, but may not work for someone else, or may not be needed for someone else.
Right.
With self-care, we may talk about this later, but with self-care, it looks different from person to person. All of our journeys are completely different. So my set of self-care practices are designed specifically for whatever I'm going through.
Right.
And whatever I needed. And so, I always make it a point to say, don't try to do exactly what I'm doing, because this is what works best for me. So,
right.
If deleting tweets off your Twitter feed is what you need to get yourself back in order, you do that.
Right. Start over.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just need that feeling of starting over. You know? So I think that's one. So it seems like since we're going towards it, what is your self-care routine?
Well, currently, because it's changed. Again, it depends on what I'm going through in my current season in my life. But right now, the biggest thing that I focus on, and it's pretty simple, is my sleep regimen. Like, I work a lot in the office and out of the office. And so if my sleep isn't on point, I'm not going to be at my best. I'm not going to be able to work with you.
Right.
And so I take my sleep very seriously on top of my resting time. So I literally add in time to rest, and I add in times to take breaks, because I was that person once upon a time that was working on the go, because everybody needed me, or I wanted to be a part of everything. And that led to burnout, or led to me not wanting to be a part of something I love. So my sleep regimen and taking rest breaks is one major self-care part of one of my self-care routines. Journaling. I'm a big advocate for journaling. And with my journaling, I use, if you follow me on my social media pages, I do self-care check-ins once a month for my followers, and I send them an email or put it on social media. So I do like a self-care journal prompts to just kind of check in how I'm doing. How's the day? How's the week? How am I doing with my goals? Is this a good day or is this a bad day? So self-care check-ins and practicing gratitude. Literally, thank you, God, for waking me up and giving me another chance to do what I love. Gratitude writing is really important for me, because sometimes we forget about the small things and the little things that matter. So that whole journaling part is probably one of the biggest self-care related activities that I do. I like when I'm sitting still, when I'm resting, I love to use essential oils and burning candles, just because it kind of helps with mindfulness. So I can just not think about whatever I've been going through and focus on just whatever I'm experiencing in that moment. So burn it, like I said, scented candles and essential oils, and then positive affirmations. I have them. I have them in my mirror. Having them for months. I change them every so often, just pertaining to whatever I'm going through. And, with positive affirmations, I was introduced to those a couple years ago, and I try to speak them every day to affirm how I want my life to go, how I see my future. So, 4 or 5 things, and every day I don't do them either. I always say that, like, that's my self-care routine, but I don't do those things every single day. I try to do things that work in my schedule, but the most important thing is I build it in my schedule. Those things that I listed.
Wow. I love the transparency.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's not something, I think when people think about self-care, they think about things that are either costly or things that have to be super difficult. Now, yes, self-care, when you practice it, isn't easy. It shouldn't be something that you're able to do and you kind of create like a checklist. Like, okay, I did this today, check. No, you need to do it because is something that's important and it benefits you. You need to be intentional about it. You need to understand that it's something that you're doing to benefit you now, but also your future self, and then also people around you. Like, you can tell when somebody's not really taking care of themselves. And so I do it for lots of reasons. But I make sure to do it because it's important, and I want to be at my best, and self-care allows me to do that. Or even recognize when I'm not at my best. Because if I'm not practicing self-care, it's hard for me to recognize those areas I'm falling short in because I'm ignoring them. But when I'm practicing self-care, I can, okay, yeah, girl, right now you're being too hard on yourself. So what do you need to do to undo that? And so my self-care time allows me to, okay, focus on that area that I figure I'm finding myself struggling in. And that's the area I need to focus on.
Wow. I think that's so interesting because I know even with me and Courtney's friendship, there are times where it's like she knows. She'll say, Raven, have you slept? And I'll be like, no.
Like this
morning. So it's like, no, for her, it's like she knows, you know, and so, you know, not everybody can know like certain people. So what are some signs that friends can look at, you know, like besides the sleep, be like, everybody's different, you know.
Or loved ones. I'm sorry to cut you off, Raven, but I like for instance, my mother, she likes to be everybody's superhero. Like you said, you do monthly check-ins with your followers. How would you go about doing a check-in with someone you see on a regular basis and you know that they're not practicing self-care?
Right.
So we're answering your question first.
Either one.
It's like really, it's the same thing. It's like friends or people you don't.
Okay, gotcha. So basically your loved one, somebody who you truly care about. Okay.
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing is look at if you guys are that close and you have a really good relationship, just recognizing different signs in their behavior, right? So there's a difference between drinking occasionally versus, okay, I'm drinking a little more frequently, daily, or throughout the day, you know, throughout the week. And so self-destructive type behavior, basically, like that's not okay if I'm using drugs and alcohol to cope. Now, if that's what you're partaking in on a recreational way, okay, that's your business. But if we're doing it to cope and to numb something, that's a sign. When they're isolating more than usual, or ignoring you when you're trying to reach out. Now, yes, we need to give people space. We need to give people opportunity to, you know, process, have time to themselves. But if you find them isolating more than usual or ignoring you, I believe that's definitely another sign. When our friends and family aren't really, I would say, cognitively like present, like if things seem off the way they're talking, like, you know, hey, I'm not, like, I hate to say it, but sometimes you can even tell when someone's not wanting to be here, you know, physically. And I'm kind of going deeper with this.
Oh, no.
You know, because, I mean, you know, especially with this pandemic, a lot of us are forced to deal with our feelings now, or we're by ourselves. And so we're forced to kind of, you know, just deal with that. And some people don't know how to. And so they may think negatively about themselves and want to try to end their lives. And so just being able to recognize the way that they're talking, the way that they're thinking, I think that's something else. And again, you would know because the way your friend is talking about themselves or trying to avoid talking about an issue. So I would say those few things are the biggest. I mean, there's other signs, but sometimes people have a good way of hiding it. But that self-destructive behavior, that isolation, the way that they're talking about themselves, or even, you know, hey, I don't want to be around you, or just their irritability, their anger towards you, which could be them really projecting onto you because you're the closest to them. So whatever I'm dealing with, I'm about to put on you because I don't have anybody else to talk to or anybody else to deal with. So you try not to take that personal, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, something's up because you wilding
Right.
You tripping, you know, and so you want to be able to look at that as a way, okay, this is something that is an indication, is to cry for help, or, you know, this person's needing some attention. So those would be my tips for sure, that you don't want to know. And as a friend, I'm glad you guys said that or talked about that moment. Be real enough to be able to tell your friend, like, hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z has been happening. How can I support you? What do you need? Like, be honest if you see something wrong with a loved one, because you don't want to regret not being there for them, or you know, you can't help and take away the pain, take away the problem, but you can help support, is basically what I'm saying. So if you do see something wrong, say something about it. Don't ignore it. Life's too short, and we don't know what our loved ones are really dealing with. They choose what to tell us based on how they feel and how comfortable they may be. But, you know, be real enough to ask that, but also be respectful and mindful, and try not to make it about you because it's about them. But a real friend will be able to recognize that, say something about it, and offer some type of genuine support.
That's true.
That is so true. So true.
Yeah. It's hard too. I won't say it's just like a walk in the park. It's hard because you can try to offer your support and your loved one's like, I'm good. And then you feel like, you know, okay, well, they don't care about me and they don't want to be around me. And it's like, well, they're hurting and this is how they're processing it. You know, and so it's a level of help that you can't give them that somebody else can, or somebody needs to give them.
It seemed like you could really apply that same thing you would do with your loved one, even with a stranger.
Oh,
you know, just being respectful and, you know, making sure that you're listening first before you play therapist, you know, because sometimes we may think we know what they're going with, and they say that's actually not what I was feeling at all. Like, this is what it is, you know, and not being so. I think something too I realize is we have to stop being so quick to try to relate to somebody. You know, and it's like that can sometimes be harmful when, you know, you're going through XYZ and somebody is trying hard to relate to you. Like, oh, I remember when I kind of went through something like that. Like, no, that, and then you like, that has nothing to do with what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. Is no comparison. Thank you for trying to, you know, empathize with me, but that's actually doing harm, because by you doing that, it's kind of like you're downplaying what I'm going through, because it's like, this is not mine, is really severe right now, but what I'm going through mentally, I don't need that. I just need you to listen.
And that ends up redirecting it onto you when it's about them. And so now what you've created is a situation where now I can't go to you next time I'm struggling, because all you're going to do is make it about you, you know? And so if you want to have that trusted relationship, again, that's why you ask, how can I help? How can I support? And be understanding that that might just be, hey, I need you to sit here and rub my back. I need you to sit here and listen to me talk. Or, you know, I want you to watch a movie with me. Like, whatever it may be, you try to be that for that person, and don't try to be the savior. I think we all, again, have probably been in that position before, not to try to hurt a person, but, you know, to try to help them. But at the same time, when you ask someone what they need, respect it. Again, that's another boundary. We have boundaries for ourselves, but we also have to set boundaries for our loved ones, and not try to make it about ourselves, because this is what they need and this is what works best for them. So,
and sometimes even respecting if they say nothing, you know, because I know I'm very good at that. Like, if someone says, you know, what do you need, Raven? And I'll say, like, if I'm really at a down point, I'll say nothing. Like, I need space. You know, I need a nap. You know, I swear, if I just take a nap, I'll wake up and feel better. You know, I just need
favorite thing to do.
It's all like if I get stressed out, I have to take a nap, because I have to pause my brain for a bit. Take a step back, pause, and then I go back to it. It's not like I sleep it away. It's like, I know I'm going to come back to this, but when I come back to it, I'll be at a better place. Mentally, my brain will be slowed down, because my brain has a tendency of going 100 miles per hour and my head will start hurting, and I feel like I can't handle it. Like I get to a point where it's like I can't handle it. So what I learned is like it's okay for me to take a nap. I just can't sleep the whole day.
Yeah.
You know, don't go into sleeping all day.
Yeah.
Like, cause
you see, okay, so I'm glad we having this discussion because I think no, because you were describing something I think a lot of us do, and then sometimes we don't realize that what we may do might be hurting us more. And so what you talked about, you know, you recognize when, okay, I need to take a step back, I need to rest, I need to take a nap, versus, okay, let me not sleep the whole day away. Because when we're upset or if we're sad or if we're stressed out, that's a feeling. That's a feeling that's going to come and go. But if we allow it to stay and it continues, that then can turn into depression. You know, that can turn into more of a mental illness if we allow it. And so you also recognize, Raven, what your triggers were. That, you know, I think a lot of us need to be able to clearly identify, like, okay, I'm having headaches, I'm having stomach aches, you know, I'm more irritable. Like this is a sign. These are signs telling me that something is wrong. And I think, again, our friends, if we're around our friends, I think being able to know what those triggers are from our loved ones is important because we can point that out. Like, yeah, I noticed you've been experiencing X, Y, and Z, you know, so you may need to go see a therapist, go see a doctor, or you may just need to talk or go take a walk, you know. And so be able to identify those triggers, but also know what's self-destructive and what's a healthy way of coping.
Yeah.
Because we can allow ourselves with, you know, and that can happen when we're not being open and honest about how we're feeling, but that's a way of definitely, again, harming our mental health more later. So I just had to point that out because when you said that, I think we've all been there, you know.
Yeah.
We have all these things we're experiencing and I just want to sleep. And then next thing you know, you've been sleeping the day away for a whole week straight.
Right.
That's not good. That's not good.
It's not.
You got to be able to recognize that and be honest about, okay, yeah, I noticed I've been doing this and I'm struggling and I need help.
Right.
So what do I do if I don't want to be honest with anybody around me? I just want to push everybody away because that's my self-care. I'm not going to even lie to you. I will push any and everybody away. Like I need my space.
Yeah. Well, I think being honest about, you know, you needing space and why, but then what you do with yourself when you're by yourself is what's important. So if you're going to push everybody away and not want anybody in your corner, you know, which I understand because you need that time to yourself, what you do during your alone time is so crucial. And so that may look very different for you. And honestly, when you are struggling that way, my recommendation is to focus on your basic needs. Are you eating? Are you showering? Are you sleeping? You know, are you getting your body moving? Focus on those things when you are by yourself, when you don't want people just, you know, I don't want to say smothering you, but just people just in your space.
In your bubble.
Right.
Yeah. Because I understand that.
Space.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but let them know. I think it is important to let a person know when you don't want anything right now, or just, you know, you want your space, like just let them know. But then what you're doing by yourself is so important. Just make sure you at least focus on those basic needs. And if you do need more help getting to a point where you're seeking that out, it may not be through your friend, but through somebody you trust. You always want at least one or two people that you can fully trust and go to when you are at your lowest.
Right.
Because we all need somebody that we can lean on and help us. We can't do everything by ourselves. I mean, think about it. Just like with your nonprofit, like you can't run it by yourself. You know, it's hard to do things on our own, and we have to be willing to, as people of color, to be able to recognize that and say that, and not feel bad about it, and not look at it as a sign of weakness.
Right.
Because we all need a girl.
We are quick to be like, ain't nothing wrong. I'm fine. Yes, no, it's something wrong, but okay.
Yeah. Right.
That's all right.
Man.
I won't judge you.
So while we're on that, I want to go ahead and ask you the question of, how do you feel about the mental health field and the perception that Black community has towards it?
Honestly, in this day and age, I think that it's more positive now. Like, because of how mainstream therapy and mental health is. And when I say that, it's talked about more on TV, through celebrities, on social media platforms. And so we have ways where we can connect and even relate to people, and find ways where we can even, when I say relate, like follow a page or follow someone who's an advocate for self-care or mental health. And so I believe it's more positive. There's still a stigma. I mean, the stigma still exists, but that's why it's important to have lives like this and have organizations like, that you all have to help bring awareness to our community. And so when I think about mental health in African Americans now, I actually feel good about it, because there are more even like therapists, Black women, Black men that are in the field. Like, there's still room and opportunity for more, and we need more. But I do believe people are seeing that, wow, you know what? It's okay to talk about my struggles with mental health. It is okay to say that, you know what? I am sad a lot, and I think this is depression. Or, you know what? I think I might need to see a psychiatrist and think about taking these medications. Like, it's okay to like talk about it. And I feel like it is a discussion that is happening more than it was several years back. I think it's, even with like millennials, I always look at us as millennials. I feel like we're that generation that really talks about it the most, because of just where we come from and just the innovative ways. And then even the generation that is here now, I think they talk about it more, because with social media, that's your outlet. That's your way to talk about how you feel.
Right.
So I do think us as color, we have made progress in that area, but there's still always going to be people that are just not ready to talk about their mental health issues because of the shame, because of the doubt, because of the fear. But just know that it is a global issue that a lot of us deal with. And there are people that look like us that can help you in a confidential way, And so I do think we're doing better. I do think we're doing a lot better with the conversation, but there is still need to decrease these numbers when it comes to, suicide, and when it comes to the lack of access when it comes to care. And I mean, it's a lot of barriers. There's always going to be barriers, but I think we're starting to speak up more and advocate more about it as a community.
Right. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, we should have said this at the beginning. Me and Raven, we met in January at an event talking about mental health. And I love that, because I got to meet more people who all share common interests. And it was just a real dope conversation, but it was so needed. And I'm like, like, this is what I love.
Right. It was definitely a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Like, getting the male perspective, because my boyfriend chimed in. He was the only male there. And I felt like it was really needed, because we got a male perspective on how they view mental health and the importance of it. But then he also was able to learn from Black women what we need as well. And that may be something that, he probably took away and needed, because probably mental health probably wasn't as discussed where he came from. You never know, like, and I think that is why it is so important to have more men in these conversations, because the way men cope with things can be so different. And then you also got to deal with the whole toxic masculinity concept, where a lot of men also don't feel like they can truly show their emotions, or maybe they're too soft if they do. And I think just all of that, not dealing with your mental health as well as you should, or at least trying to tap into the conversation of how important is your mental health, where's your mental health state at, that can lead to self-destruction as well. So it's important, especially with all these death that's going on. all the trauma. Like, a lot of our Black men are sadly dealing with a lot of trauma that has been normalized. It's like, okay, instead of addressing the root of these issues, when it comes to, for example, gun violence, we just say, hey, bro, keep that thing on you.
Yeah.
But then it's like, that's not good for the mental health at all, to just, now you walking around on the defense.
Yeah.
You're not thinking through anything logically. And it kind of just scares me even with that, because I started thinking about, man, some of these men that are walking around talking about keep a gun on you, things like that. I don't even feel comfortable getting into a verbal argument with you, a verbal disagreement, because I'm not sure where your mental is.
Yeah.
You just may pull out the gun and take me out. So a lot of, even just with, the death that's been going on and stuff like that, I think about our Black men's mental health. Yeah. Where are we at? How are we dealing with the trauma? Because a lot of the stuff, our men are hurt. They're losing people left and right. How are they handling this, sadness and grief? Because their grief turns into anger.
Yeah. I mean, and I think when we think about, that demographic, that I love our Black men.
Me too, girl. That's why I care so much.
Yeah, I do.
Black men, come
on, I do.
I just need them to come home every night. That's all.
Yeah.
I just need you to make it home nightly.
I do think there needs to be more safe spaces, for them to be able to express that. I mean, yes, I think a lot of people, like, I'm always going to say, yes, please go to therapy, but I know that could be a hard first step, and they need to ease into that. So what can we do to help you get to that end goal? So creating some more safe spaces just for them, I think is important. And I know a lot of amazing Black men in the mental health field that, have a passion to help with this community. But, when we think about us as Oklahoma City, I don't know personally too many, I know a few that work with Black men, but something that's consistent, you know what I'm saying? Something they can go to often, because you're right. Like, our gun violence has increased so much, and just seeing and hearing what these Black men are experiencing is devastating. And I do think about their mental health. Like, how are you dealing with this? How are you coping with this? This is a lot, and, with grief, like, there's no perfect way to deal with that. There's no timeline when you are supposed to be over. So how do you plan to work through this? Because that's a lot. So I'm glad we talked about that part too, because I've been thinking about our Black men worldwide, with everything going on, and then locally, just what's been going on. And so I think, talking about ways of supporting any listeners on here or viewers on here, if you have someone struggling that way, ask them what they need, and keep in mind, mentally things are going to be different, and how they react and how they're talking, and you may take things more personal, but this is a real hard time. But ask how you can help and how you can support, so that way you're being there in a respectful way and in a way that works best for them.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, that was deep.
Yeah, for sure.
That is so deep. I know for me, even as a girlfriend and as a sister and daughter of Black men, more so as a girlfriend, because I don't really too much worry about my dad and my brother. Like, they're pretty like homebodies, so they don't really get themselves into much, like, but of course, being a girlfriend of, a Black man, I, like Courtney said, come home to me. I just, it's so scary. And I didn't even realize the importance with me being a girlfriend, making sure that I create that safe space.
Yeah.
Because if he can't get it outside of, our space, then I have to be the person to, make sure I'm opening that door and doing a better job. And, sometimes even just saying like, hey babe, like, how you doing? I see you've been doing this, a lot more. You've been staying up a little later. Like, I want to make sure you're doing that out of you just having fun, or you doing this because you're coping from something. Because sometimes we tend to run from things. We may work on stuff heavy and be up to 3 a.m. because we're trying to feed our mind with something because we can't sleep. Okay, well, why are you not sleeping?
Right.
You know, is there some things you're having with your dreams? You know, it gets really deep, and I find myself kind of being worried, like, okay, am I overthinking this? You know, am I, doing too much, or am I not doing enough? I'm afraid to not do enough because I'm afraid to see the consequences of me not caring. But then I don't want to do too much, and now he's closed.
Yeah.
You know.
And you gotta also know that you can't fix this, and it's not about you. And letting them process the best way that they can, but know that they have you by their side every step of the way. And I have to always remember, even for myself, when it comes to Black men, like if they need their space, give them their space.
Right.
And not make it about you, because that ain't gonna help. And I mean, that's gonna add more fuel to the fire. So just be mindful of that this is a difficult time. And like you said, how Black men deal with their mental health is different. I mean, their signs are different, but I mean, I'm always going to advocate for mental health treatment.
Yes.
When you deal with anything traumatic like that, yes, you need professional help, and you're going to probably need it for a while. But when you're really ready to take that step and seek that help, I think that's when you'll really get more out of it, because you want it versus somebody else forcing you to do it.
Right. I know one of our viewers, she said with Black men, it could be the way they were raised.
Yeah. Your upbringing, not being taught how to express yourself in an open way, or being told, don't talk about your feelings, that make you weak, instead of using your words, use your hands.
You did.
Yeah, that's a huge factor, actually, and so that's why I always tie back. When I as a therapist, I always have to do assessments, or read their assessments, and I always read their about their upbringing, because that says a lot about who they are today, especially if they never sought out help this entire time. Okay, it makes more sense. You didn't grow up in a 2-parent household that was loving and nurtured you and loved you and provided you with security and love. It makes sense. Didn't show you the ropes. You had to figure it out on your own. So that definitely plays a huge role.
Being taught, like the one of the viewers said, and I agree, they are taught to be a man.
Yeah.
And it just sometimes it's like, along with that, you're telling them, be a man, toughen up, stop crying. But you gotta cry. Like, I didn't understand the importance of crying until I got older. Yeah. Because, me coming from a military family, very strict and everything, it wasn't no crying, like, hey, you better go somewhere. You better suck it up and handle your business, and then I realized that was, now as an adult, and me learning this through my own therapist, I learned that I tend to project that same energy into my friendships and my loved ones, where I'm like, hey, I understand, I'm here, you cry, I may cry with you because now I'm really sensitive, but we got to handle our business. Ain't no excuses. Let's get it. And I had to learn, like, you have to, it's like a level of grace that we have to extend to people. Not everybody is built like that. The way that I was raised, not everybody was raised like that. Just because it worked for my parents, and I think I turned out to be pretty, decent, like, with it, just because their recipe worked, don't mean that recipe is going to work for anybody else. And I can't hold them to that same standard. And I think that's what happened with, the Black men. Like, we are teaching them to be a man and don't cry. And it's like, yo, that may be what stopped them from being as successful as they can. Because you're not letting them be themselves. Like, they're having to walk around with this idea of what a man is, which they end up turning into an angry person. They end up turning into someone that don't know how to communicate, or have their guard up. It's hard for them to be in love because they feel like everyone out to get them. Like, that's not every Black man, of course, but a lot of the Black men that has not been taught how to process through their emotions, how to deal with their trauma, how to find healing. Like, it's rough.
Well, I think you you being there for your boyfriend in a emotional way, that's a form of support that I think that he probably takes into consideration and but may not express it the way us as women would like to hear, like, hey, I would like to hear if I'm helping you, but just know that deep down inside, I'm sure he appreciates that's what I'm saying. And I think that's what we need to be ourselves and know that we're giving our best selves to them when they're at their worst, because you don't want to be by yourself when you're at your lowest. You don't. And you still being there says a lot. That also shows your loyalty. You didn't just leave me hanging dry when I was, I was at my lowest. And so definitely keep that in mind as well. Like, okay, I'm pouring into this man the best way that I can, and I'm going to stick by his side until he's fully ready for another level of help and support. So,
amen. Let's see, another question. Let's talk about Nicole Writing. What is it, and how can people benefit from it?
Well, again, Nicole Writing is essentially, it's a platform geared towards mental health and self-care, where I provide social media content. A lot of people know me from my social media because I provide a lot of tips and tools. So I provide you those resources and those tools that you may not have access to, or may not have any idea about it. And so if you come to my page or my website, I have lots of things where you can learn about mental health, or I can teach you. So I provide workshops as well that are geared towards mental health and self-care. I have my t-shirt collection that promotes self-care and mental health as well. And so it's just a platform about mental health awareness, essentially. And so I have different ways that I bring awareness to mental health and self-care. And the biggest way is providing resources. I mean, I made Nicole, or God gave me this vision and I executed it and launched it for the sole purpose of, okay, let me create this one-stop shop where people can find therapists, they can get free resources, they can get tools. It may not be for them, could be for someone else that is in need. And then I extended that and then added another element of providing services. Because again, I have a way of helping people on a bigger platform through Nicole Writing. So when you think of Nicole Writing, you think about, most people think about self-care and mental health, and that's what I want them to think about. But also, okay, she has so many resources.
Yes.
And it's for literally just about anything. And, I'm known for having more practical related resources, things that you can easily apply to yourself. I have free worksheets on there as well. And again, I always say that this could be like a first step towards a bigger step that you may need to take, because it doesn't replace therapy. It doesn't replace treatment, but it's something, it's a supplemental aid, something you can use in addition to your treatment, or you can do while you're in therapy. And so, it's all about mental health and self-care awareness, and lots of resources and tools. And if you ever want to collaborate and work on projects that are mental health and self-care related, because I have to tell people that if it's neither one, I'm not your person of interest, because I'm big on who I work with because of what I stand for, That's I have built this, for a while, and working towards, even growing more. And so what I put my name on definitely matters. So I hope that makes sense to those who are unfamiliar with Nicole, because when people hear about Nicole Writing, they're not really clear until I'm like, okay, this is what it's about, or go to my website, you can read about my bio.
Right. Period. Poop.
I was trying to say that, in a real nice, professional way, but yeah,
gotta be direct. Like, you really, I'm learning in this game that you really have to be direct, because a lot of people will literally not realize that your worth. Right. As an entrepreneur, as a therapist, like, how people say, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about myself. Like, this is my calling that God has given to me. and I'm sensitive about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like when it comes to dating, you know, you got to vet these men out, you know, or for, you know, men, you got to vet these women out. You can't just give your time to everybody. And that's the same thing with business. Like, your time is your time. You could be spending that time self-caring or helping someone else, you know, so that is so real. Like, I love that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because people don't realize self-care, that is a part of self-care.
Yeah,
Picking,
it is.
you know, who you surround yourself with, because some friends can drain the heck out of you.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow, that is powerful.
Having a supportive tribe that, you know, really is there for you and not just for the clout.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just to put your name on something. What you know, like, we can all help each other in different ways, and we're not gonna do that. No, ma'am. Yeah, that's why my circle real small, because of one of those reasons. But for, you know, people just don't really understand your worth, and you got to respect me, because I don't work real hard to get to where I'm at on a mentally and emotional level. And if you can't respect that, I think that says a lot about where we are as friends.
Exactly. We can't even be friends if there ain't no respect.
Yeah.
You know, clout is a dangerous drug. And, you know, it's like, you let someone slide on, you know, disrespecting you, or just not even taking you seriously, you're starting a whole chain of continuous behavior. So I love that, because even watching Insecure, this had brought this out. Learning how to break up with your friends.
Woo!
That right, girl. When
I watch it.
breaking up with those mollies in your life, like, that is a form of self-care that we don't like to talk about. You know, we hold on to these friendships. Oh, we've been friends since pre-K, and they've been toxic since the first grade. Like, you should have let them go in the first grade when not in the first grade, but. You know, a lot of times, you know, even me and Courtney, we were laughing about this, where it was like, sometimes those red flags look a little burgundy. When you really, you know, and I feel like it is not just about relationships. It's about these friendships we have, family members we have, that they are showing us who they are at the first time. Yeah. And we don't believe them, like Maya Angelou say. We let those red flags be burgundy, like, oh, well, you know, let's fight. They continue the behavior, and now we are heartbroken by our friendships more than we've ever been in a relationship. So we got to protect our peace, and that goes for everyone.
Protecting your peace, protecting your energy, definitely are forms of self-care. Definitely forms of self-care. And, you know, being able to recognize what's healthy and what's unhealthy for you, even if another person doesn't agree with it. You got to be able to do what's best, because what may be best for me means that I got to end this with you. And I'm okay with that, even if you're not. And, you know, again, that self-care time that you have, that, because again, self-care is a journey. It's an ongoing process. And so when you are in tune with yourself and you're spending time with yourself and nurturing yourself, you start to, you're able to see what is good and what's not for you over time. And especially if someone's been around you in your life for so many years and hasn't contributed, not necessarily, you know, financially or just through their presence, but emotionally, where you been. Like, I've needed your support, and you just kind of, you either vanish, or like the Mollies, you hating, like, you low key, like, what is it? Like, is it, it's you, it's not me.
Right.
But yeah,
that's real. Because they say, what they say, how you hating from outside the club, you can't even get in. But in these friendships, you hating inside the club that you helped me build. How you hating in the club, and you seen what I went through to get here?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I didn't like that, because even there, you know, kind of like Molly, you have friends that'll be there. They'll be like, oh, I'm physically here, but mentally, they're waiting on something bad to happen. Yeah. So they could somehow say, I told you so.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I just, watching Insecure, I love it, because it really does tackle things that we do not like to talk about. Yep. Unless the conversation is initiated by somebody else.
Yep. And the conversation with in our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sure don't. Nope. You got me excited about tomorrow now, girl.
I know. I cannot wait for tomorrow. episode. That's not at what time now?
It's not long enough.
I know, but they got renewed for season 5, so we know it's coming back. Yeah.
Well, they need to come back for 45 minutes. They ain't got to be an hour.
Yeah.
But add a little razzle dazzle 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need.
Man, Courtney, do you have any questions for her you want to ask?
Oh, Katrina, I want to come and talk to you personally. How would I set that up?
Well, for you, it's different now because we've been talking. So, but shoot me an email, and let's talk dates. But typically, shoot me an email because I don't respond to DMs. I respond. Okay, let me rephrase. Let me go back. Yes, I respond, but sometimes I respond too late. And depending on what a person is wanting, I don't deal with that in the DM. That's just a professional boundary of mine. Right. So I always have my email linked like on my social media pages, or I make it known like, hey, I don't do business through DMs. So emailing me is the best way at hey Nicole Writing @gmail.com. Okay. Best way.
Perfect. I need to make sure.
Yeah.
Put that in the comments.
@gmail.com for sure.
Yes, because all of this, you done got my life halfway together.
Right.
Boundaries. Take time for myself. Lift this oils. You said essential oils. I mean, okay. You said don't sleep more than 6 hours in one day. Okay, I can do that. And drink lots of water. I think I can remember that.
Right.
I'm gonna send you an email tonight. I ain't got nothing else to do.
Man. Well, we are so thankful for you even joining us and even considering it, responding back to our email. Like,
thank you for responding back to the emails and the DMs. Of course.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this is my first virtual live through Zoom because that's now our new normal.
Right.
I missed my live or in-person speaking engagements, but this was my first one. And honestly, I did it because I love your nonprofit, Raven, and then I met Raven, and then Courtney bought a shirt, and I can't wait to see. So I was like, this is an opportunity I'm not gonna say no to. I told y'all I'm big on what I say yes and what I say no to.
Yes, that is true.
And so, y'all were very professional in y'all's emails too. That is so big to me. Oh,
girl. It's so important to me, girl. I be telling everybody it's little things that even though other people may not do it, do not mean we gonna continue. We are gonna be professional, and then when we talk, it's whatever goes.
Yeah, y'all had it. I love that because to me that also sets the tone what I'm about to get myself into. Right. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, on y'all's end, y'all are very professional. I loved it. And so I'm always willing to work with you guys again for another conversation or whatever. You just shoot me an email and let me know. We'll collaborate. And that's for anybody else who wants to collaborate, on a project. I'm open to, as long as my calendar allows.
Right. No, thank you. And thank you, Courtney. Courtney is the one who kicked off this whole Coping with COVID series. I thought it was brilliant.
Yes.
Of course I found it, but I could not do this without having my team. My team, they come up with better ideas than I do sometimes.
And that's what a team is about.
Exactly. Because, with this whole pandemic, Courtney would tell you, I was like, oh my God, what we going to do? And she was like, and I was like, well, that's it, and I stand behind, whatever they say, hey, let's do this. I support 100% because I know that their heart is truly into the cause, and it's hard to find people who, like we said, not clout chasers, really actually dedicated to the cause. So big thank you to Courtney for even setting this up and being professional. Courtney. And thank you, Courtney, for that. We are definitely grateful for it. And I know the viewers are appreciative of it as well.
Yes.
Everyone's welcome. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you for taking the time, Katrina, to even consider working with us. Thank you, Raven, for always being the best leader and showing us and encouraging us. Thank you for being a friend.
You trying to make me cry.
You started it because I'm over here teary-eyed. I'm just trying to act like I'm not.
I'm
But
grateful.
thank you.
Thank you, girls. So, what we're gonna do is we're going to, of course, this is recording, so we'll edit this video, and we'll send it to you. We'll put it on. It'll be on YouTube on our website, so that people that was not able to catch the live can continue to catch our conversation that we have weekly.
Okay.
And we'll make sure we get all of the information to you. Any other opportunities we have, we'll let you know as well. I know we do have Sip with Self-Care, July the 11th. It'll be at Art Craft Love. We can send that information as well if you would like to partake in that with us. We'll have
Yes, send me the information.
Wine. So
It
yes,
sure
I'll get that
will.
to you.
You said a lot that I enjoy.
Awesome. All
You
right.
did.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching and continuously supporting us. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. I can't stop saying grateful, but we are so grateful, and we never let anybody's support just go to the wayside. Like, we cherish every single word, every time that you guys give to us. Like, this is what we do, of course. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.